so far in the episode, we've only talked about machine vision, facial recognition specifically, and that is a prominent example. And it's covered in a lot of detail in the Coded Bias film, for example, which I highly recommend to folks if they haven't checked it out already. It is on Netflix, and yeah. So other than that facial recognition example, you have found many examples of algorithms that have harmful effects and that the AJL can be tackling. So, could you share more about the potential consequences of these kinds of algorithms in fields like employment, finance, law enforcement?
Absolutely. When I think of the law enforcement piece of it, go to I think of the school to prison pipeline, right? Where you get caught up in the criminal justice system or criminal law system at a very early age. So, one thing we've been seeing is the adoption of first e-proctoring tools during COVID. You're taking the test remotely. We want to see if it's actually you. So, this might be looking at people's keystrokes. It could use machine vision as well. But now that you have AI detectors or supposed detectors, some of the harms reports we get are people who have been wrongfully accused of cheating, right? So their academic integrity is being questioned. And now the onus is on them. Not only did you have to prepare for the stressful final or whatever else it was, and some people setting up contraptions just to have their faces lit to be seen to take the test. Now you have to prove that you actually created what you made. And some of what we've been seeing are that students with English as a second language, going back to the bias of many models, English tends to be the language that is quote unquote the default or the norm, despite that not being the case all around the world, but it is the lingua franca for the most part of machine learning and AI. And so here you're in a case of a problem created by AI with then a potential AI quote unquote solution creating to more problems because leading to more problems. And part of that is an issue of confirmation bias. So if you're from a marginalized community or a community that's already assumed to be engaged in criminal activity or to have lesser character, when you are given the stigma of cheater, etc., it's more likely to be believed than if you are in a different group. So I think that's an area where, again, along that pipeline of criminal justice, it can start with an accusation of cheating. But also, you have many companies using the goal of preventing fraud as the motivation for adopting invasive surveillance technologies that are fueled by AI. More on the crime side of things. So you have voice clones, AI voice generators, and a very rich data set of so much. I mean, we got podcasts, my voice is out there. Your voice, how many? You said episode 727?
Yeah, your episode will be 727.
Yeah, your voice is out there. And so now people are able to create AI voice clones that are part of scams. And so, in the introduction of the book, I write about one woman who gets a call. She hears her daughter, "These bad men have me, help." But she's sobbing. It's a high stress situation. Another voice comes on demanding money. Eventually, she's able to see that her daughter is safe on the trip that she thought her daughter was on, but it's one of those examples that is growing, right? And it's also preying on your vulnerability because it's the voice of your loved one. It can also be preying on your money, right? So the biometrics that were meant to add an added layer of security for, let's say, accessing your finances, it can be compromised with biometrics. And so that's another area to consider. Something else, I have the guitar out. We were talking a little bit about the playfulness and the storytelling pieces of AJL. We definitely are a place that supports and welcomes artists. And so another issue with AI is the process of creation. So if the process of creation entails gathering uh, data without permission and without compensation, and then profiting from that, we're also in a place. I don't yet have a term. It's not. I want a term for AI that's like blood diamonds. That gives you a sense the way in which it was produced is problematic to say the least. I don't quite have that term, maybe dirty AI. I don't know it just yet. And so I reflect on this in the book about my own questions when I was taking faces off the internet. I am implicated in these processes. I was doing it in a way that was protected based on the BU Law Clinic review of my research processes for fair use. I wasn't, putting a company on top of it and selling it, etc. But nonetheless, I was running into these ethical questions. Is it okay for me to take the faces of these people that are online? And some of the laws said yes because they are public figures, or some of the laws said yes because we allow the use of government data, right, for research. But something I couldn't quite figure out was when you had to do IRBs, institutional review boards, so you don't end up doing really unethical things based on the past. I found that computer vision research got a complete pass. So when it came to human subjects research, right, if I'm going to be interviewing people, etc., you have to go through all of these checks to ensure that you're doing the research in an ethical manner. When it came to collecting people's biometric data, which I thought would be classed under medical data, I had a pass because it was computer vision research. The researchers around me, they want their pass too. So by asking these questions, I realized, oh, if I really push on this, I'm going to make it harder for myself and for other researchers if you actually have to do deeper, if you can't get the exemption, right? But I was asking myself, should we be getting this exemption? This is highly sensitive data, and you can't anonymize a face.
Right.
In
No, you
that, if I
can't.
have the photo of your face, it
Oh
is
yeah.
not anonymous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There are other
Yeah, it's
steps you can take beyond that, but that was the question I had, and I kind of got that sharp elbow to keep keep it moving, So I grapple a lot with the processes I critique, having also learned those processes and used those processes in my own evolution as a computer scientist and an AI researcher, and then realizing things you did maybe 8, 10 years ago wouldn't necessarily be the way you would do it now with a deeper understanding.